To start off, let's disconnect the negative battery terminal. It's located right underneath this cap. Lift it up, set it aside. The negative terminal is actually the one all the way back there. So get your 10mm socket and break the nut free that's on the top. I'll show you a better view in a second. Loosen it up and then pull the negative terminal right up and off. There it is. That's the nut that you have to remove. I like to set it aside over here. That way it can't make contact with anything. All right, so underneath the car, typically you'd have a splash shield here. Mine's missing, but basically you have 7mm bolts and potentially push clips holding it on. Take that off, and then we'll have access to the starter, which is gonna be hard to see, but it is right above this oil filter housing. That's the starter right there, and then the two connectors that we have to undo. And then the connections that we have to undo is this small 10mm nut here, and then up top a 13mm nut. So let's start with the 10mm. Get your tool in there. Take that off. Let's get a 13mm socket up there. Break that nut free. Take it off. Now you can pull off the connector. Set that aside. And now looking from underneath, you can see this 13mm nut right here. This is one of the two nuts that is holding the starter onto the block. There's one that is right above, which I can't even see, so I won't be able to show you. But basically, I'm gonna take this one off. Again, 13mm. Looks like once you break it free, you should be able to take it off by hand. Actually, it's a bolt with a stud sticking out of it. Let's do the same to the top. Sneak your ratchet up in here. If you just feel along right here, that's where it is. You'll feel that little small stud sticking out. Break that free. Let's take that one out as well. Okay, here's this bolt. Same thing. Now we can grab the starter, wiggle it, and break it free. There we go. It's sitting on a little dowel pin here, probably one at the top as well. And now you just have to kind of fish it out. Make sure all wiring and other connectors are out of the way. There it is. And now to replace this knock sensor, there are two. I'll show you the other one in a minute. You have this knock sensor right here, which is right above the starter, which is why I took the starter out. So I'm gonna get a 10mm wrench in here, break this free. All right, that's loose. I'm just gonna try to unthread it from the block. Okay, there it is. Pull the bolt out, take the knock sensor right out of there. And now if you just follow it along, you can see the wiring harness. Click the connector, unplug it, and here's your old knock sensor. Grab your new knock sensor and connect it. Now you'll see this spot right here. That's where the wire actually gets clipped in. So press that connector into place to secure it. Now take your sensor part of the knock sensor, slide the bolt through, and let's start it onto the block. All right, let's get this bolt started. It's pretty difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but once you get it started on here, you should be able to bottom it out. This is bottomed out for me. Make sure that the knock sensor is facing in the right direction. That way the wire doesn't get jammed in there and pinched. Now I'm gonna take my wrench, snug it up. There's no way I can torque this, so I'm just gonna do my best to tighten it up with a wrench. That's nice and snug. Perfect, leave it at that. So I know it's hard to see right now. That's the knock sensor that we just replaced right there. The other knock sensor that this vehicle has is this one right here. The wiring harness is right next to this one. You follow it up and you do the same exact process to get to that one. It might be a little bit difficult, but same thing Same process. Get a wrench in there, take it off, replace it. Slide it up into position. Line it up with the 2 dowel pins. I'm going to get this bottom bolt started first, that way the starter doesn't want to fall on me. Now that one's started, make sure the top one is lined up, which it is. Let's get the top one in. This one you'll kind of have to feel for it because you can't really see anything. Let's snug them both up. Now it's snug. Let's do the top one. All right, that top one is snug. I'm going to make it nice and tight with my wrench. And do the same to the bottom one. Perfect. Take your wires, slide them over their corresponding studs, start on the nuts. Okay, let's snug these 2 up. Now you don't have to go crazy on these. They are very delicate and they can actually break off internally inside the starter. So once it bottoms out, give it a little snug and just stop right there. Bottom that one out as well, and let's give it a snug. That's bottomed out. Give it a little extra. All right, that's it. There was nothing covering this. At this point, if you had your splash shield, go ahead and reinstall that. Let's reconnect the battery now that we're done with the job. Tighten up this 10mm nut. I know I have my positive terminal off, but that's for a different reason. So assuming that yours is on, of course, put the cap on.